So, hello everybody and good afternoon. My name's David Jager and I'm the CEO, Managing Director of Perfectly Spoken. And this is the second of two conversations we are having about AI and learning English. And this one is specifically on AI simulations and how they are helping people practice English. And today I am joined again, I am delighted to say, by Stephanie Marston, who is our Head of Educational Content at Perfectly Spoken, who will be showing some demonstrations of or talking about a course that we have jointly created with EDUardo. And again, I'm delighted to be joined by Peter Szlavik, who is the CEO of EDUardo. And EDUardo is a very specialist company that teaches business topics with simulations, hence the name of this conversation. Before I give them an opportunity both to speak, I'd just like to give you a bit of background about how AI can be used or could be used for practicing English. Stephanie, if you'd show the slide, please. So one question that everybody asks is, why is AI useful for practicing English? And here we've put some very basic reasons. First of all, you can use it anytime, anywhere. Secondly, you get instant feedback. Thirdly, and this is really important, it allows for variations, lots of different variations for personalized learning. And and finally, I mean, it really does and can help you build your confidence when you are learning and practicing your English. If we look at some examples of how it can be used, then, in all sorts of arenas, practicing questions and answers, um, and the feedback, it's, if you're talking just about daily routines, you can get tips, and it will give you tips on how to improve your English and your answers. And this, again, the next point is really important and interesting, and Peter's going to be talking about this, is how it can simulate, it can copy real life situations. And a very basic one, like ordering food or asking for directions, but it has many more applications. And a very critical application that is almost there, and the technology is certainly there, but we are not comfortable with using it yet, but we will be very soon, is that you can use it to talk to an AI teacher in an application. And that's a very exciting development. And then just finally, of course, this will have many implications for our roles as teachers. And here we've just put some ways in which the role of the teacher, the English teacher, will change. So to help the English teacher, AI will be able to check the grammar, give simple exercises, and that will then free the teacher to have more time to focus on personalized guidance and motivation for individual students. It will also give the teacher a lot more time to interact directly with the students and giving them more practice with speaking and listening. And an added advantage, of course, is that AI in itself will collect data, detailed data on your performance as a student, which will help the teacher in the feedback that he or she gives to you. So lots of interesting changes that will be and coming very soon. So let's now, thinking of the course that we have developed in conjunction with EDUardo and Peter, called English for Negotiation. I think it might be quite interesting, Peter, if you don't mind giving a little background to EDUardo and what you do, and then perhaps we can talk a bit about the course.
Yes, thank you very much, and I'm really happy that you invited me for this conversation. So EDUardo is, as you mentioned, it's a business simulation platform, and what we do is we teach fairly comprehensive topics of business, so like business planning, change management, making newly created company, startup companies, evolution and building it up, entering into new markets, or financial analysis, or managerial accounting studies. So topics which are fairly comprehensive or even complex. And here the challenge for teachers and also for learners is that if you only have like traditional approaches of learning these topics, then what you miss is putting it into practice. So you learn about how to make a business plan, but it's really far from doing it or trying it. So the simulations are giving a laboratory where you are in an environment where you make decisions. And in our case, these decisions are typically numerical. So you decide upon certain numbers like pricing, or certain budget elements like marketing budget or production budget or purchasing raw material. And then we calculate in the simulation what happens in real life, similar to your case. And then you got a feedback, again with numbers. So in this way, people who learn or acquire newly acquired experience can go into practice. So therefore, the most important tag is practice orientation. And I think running a business is similarly complex like learning a language. And there we have similar challenges, how to put it into practice, how to acquire knowledge, and we can really utilize it, not only learn about the language rules, but put into practice when you have time pressure, when you have a need for an instant reply.
I think that's fantastic, isn't it? And that's the key point. That's the point that brought us together, really, isn't it? To develop this new course and hopefully develop more courses. It's how we can then use the simulations to provide practice in English for our students, and hopefully this course will do that. Did you find many differences in your experience? You know, was it a big change focusing more on English than business in general?
I think the challenge is similar. Like we want to learn something complex and then use it in a proper way. So it's very a lot of analogs in this situation. The theoretical background is different. I mean, learning language rules and learning the rules of management accounting, it's absolutely different. But I'm also a language learner. I learn every day, so I know those challenges. And sometimes you feel like equally lost with the language, especially if you are the beginner. Like now I'm learning, apart from others, I learn Japanese. I feel really lost sometimes on what's going on. And if you look at like a financial report, you can have the same feeling. But once you start to understand the building blocks, then it clears up. And at a point you have a good understanding. And that process should be speeded up by a course. I think this is the goal.
And I thought, and maybe we can look at this your slides. I mean, I think one of the elements that most impressed me as a teacher is the feedback that you get from the simulation. So that in any simulation, you will get from the AI, you will get correction or advice on your English, on your grammar, your vocabulary, but also it puts it into context of the business conversation or the situation that the student is experiencing. So I think that's amazing.
Yes, but before going into it, what I suggest let's put the AI onto the table, because we are a company which operated. So we're operating since 2017 as a project, and since 2019 as a company, and we haven't used AI until last January. Then everybody faced this possibility when ChatGPT entered the arena, and it became available also for for corporate users. But before that, we computed the simulations. And still right now, when we handle numbers and the results based on your decisions, it's a traditional way. But AI opened up a totally new dimension, because before that, we couldn't use anything well with text, because understanding the text by the system was simply not available. I tried AI in 2022. We did some experiment, but it was not on level until the language models came. And the language model, it understands what you communicate and provides valuable feedback to that. And by using these elements in the simulations, around the simulations, is fairly similar how we did it in the English for Negotiation course. Our first experiment was, maybe Stephanie, if you can show this slide, is we created, it's a general one, the next one, please. Yes. The first experiment we did, and it's fairly popular, is a situation when you are joining a customer service team and you got a situation. This is randomized. You work for a web shop which is making or selling gardening products, and you got customer complaints. You got a customer complaint in a video format and in text format, and you need to reply this person who is complaining. You do it in few rounds, and during this, AI helps to have the answer as a customer, and it reflects to your style and words and how you behave. And at the very end, we have an evaluation, a sentiment analysis. I mean, how good customer service clerk you are, how polite you were, how confident you were, how you handle this situation. And I think this exercise was kind of a good example when we started to design our course together, to have such exercises, but with the sole purpose of learning English language.
Great. Okay. And so, if I'm not jumping too far ahead, so how far are we along this curve with AI, do you think? I mean, there is so much money and so many companies all talking about AI as now. Are we there?
I think we are in the middle of the process, and what is good, we can already utilize it. And relatively not large companies like Perfectly Spoken and EDUardo, we could already rely on state-of-the-art technologies like OpenAI, or there are many other which we can build modules on it and rely on that stable background. What is a differentiation of, like, if you open up ChatGPT on your telephone, you either text or you talk, you can do anything. What you miss is a structure. You miss a structure that what makes it a story. So in fact, what is the value added by your team and our team in this process is that we made a structure around it. Like Stephanie designed what is needed for a negotiation course and what should be practiced. And inside of the exercises, we again put relevance to these exercises, and we created a story, like a situation. And we make sure that AI understands where it is in the conversation, let's say, that reacts according to our suggestions in the background. And therefore, the end user has a feeling that it's realistic. You could replicate it with ChatGPT, but then you need to find out the story. You need to find out the whole structure. So therefore, this is the value added, I think, together by us.
Absolutely. Great point. And I think a nice introduction, Stephanie, there. So would you like to explain a little bit about the work that you did and how you envisage things coming?
Absolutely. First of all, welcome to everybody watching. I can see we've got lots of viewers and lots of people typing in the chat, which is fantastic. Of course, if you do have any questions you would like to ask or comments you'd like to make about this topic, please do so. So it's been a very exciting venture, I think. From my point of view, it's something completely new and exciting in the sense that we want to provide as much benefit for our learners, and we're always looking at how we can do this. And I think two really important terms that Peter used are real life and real time. And that's something we're always striving to do, to give our learners practice opportunities that's something real. And that's what's been really interesting about this project and this course, because while on the one hand, yes, it's traditional in the sense that there is the structure that you move through the lessons. And of course, we're providing practice activities. And what we're doing in this course is having the added benefit of AI. And what that helps us to do, I'm going to give you a quick example of one aspect, which is writing. So, for example, let me share, here we go. In one of the lessons, we're talking about the follow-up to a negotiation. And of course, the natural follow-up is sending an email. It's polite, it establishes trust. So we talk about this in the lesson. We think about what should be included. So you watch the lesson, you follow the input session. But what is the beauty of AI is that, of course, then you have the chance to practice and get that instant feedback. So you move to the practice activity, you take on the role, in this case, you are the employee, and you write an email to send. There are certain criteria, obviously, that we want you to practice. And this allows you to practice the language from the lesson. So in this example, you're thanking your employer, you're outlining terms and conditions, you're confirming acceptance, and you're checking if you need to do anything else. So once you've composed your email and sent it, this is the beauty of this, is that you get that instant feedback. And it's not just feedback related to your grammar. It's also feedback on your tone, your style, how well you've used the language. And it gives you suggestions as to how that can be improved. And from a teacher's perspective, it's revolutionary, isn't it? Because for a teacher to do that would, of course, take time, and you're not going to get that kind of instant feedback. So I think that really is added value as a learner.
Absolutely.
And of course, you can retake the exercise, so you can try it with, once you finished it, you have a chance. Okay, what's happening if I am not that professional? What's happening if I miss out certain points? So we can simulate the situation, and the AI will help to react accordingly.
You can repeat and repeat, which is fantastic. And actually, going back to what you were saying there, Stephanie, I mean, I think one of the questions that I had before, I think I know the answer myself, but what would you say? I mean, will AI replace my English teacher?
I think that's the number one question, isn't it? Obviously, I don't believe it's going to totally replace the English teacher. I don't see any reason why the two can't work side by side, let's say. I think there's definitely benefits that having a real life English teacher that can bring it to a student to the classroom. But, you know, the benefits that we can see and that are evident from AI should only enhance the role, I think.
I mean, I agree totally. I think this is an exciting time for us. I mean, I don't think we should be afraid of AI. I think we need to embrace it, to accept it, and use it as the tool, the wonderful, wonderful tool it is, and help people learn English, not necessarily better, but certainly faster.
Absolutely. And I think that at Perfectly Spoken, that's always something we're looking to do. We're constantly, I mean, the student, the learner is always at the heart of any process, isn't it? So whenever I'm thinking about creating material, writing content, I'm always asking myself, how is this going to benefit our learners? How can we make it more accessible? How can we make it more authentic? So for me, AI is a really exciting opportunity to add to what we're already providing.
Yeah, Peter, can I ask you, I mean, and you have shown us a little bit about this, again, very eye-opening. It's about different English accents. So can AI create and can it understand different English accents?
You mean the oral AI? So like
Yeah, yeah, when it,
yeah,
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
When,
Honestly, I was not trying it, but as I have a strong accent, I know I have a Hungarian accent, and earlier when I used Siri, I always had a problem. It was calling different people whom I asked. It was not doing what, so it was not perfect at all. And therefore, I have an iPhone for years, but I never used Siri a lot because it was not matching my accent. With the current ChatGPT, I have no problem. It understands me, just really rarely misunderstands something. And even I think you can ask AI to switch to another type or conversational style or accent type, so that you can practice that. What, David, you referred to it, that we were thinking to integrate this talking feature into the course, but we decided that we are not waiting for perfection. We wanted to give the audience something which is stable and available right now, but we are already working on that. So there could be a conversational part, like a 2.0 version where some of the exercises are done in a discussion format, but similarly it's constructed. So like by the time you are next to the mic, you already, the other side, the AI knows what the story is about, what is its role, how it should behave, and therefore mimicking the real life. But that's coming fairly soon. It's coming really soon.
And from I was just going to say, from a teaching perspective, I think that's another amazing opportunity, because if we think about our students, one of the biggest things they're always saying is practice opportunities, how to get practice opportunities. And it can be very challenging, can't it? If you're living in you're not living in an English-speaking country, you don't work in an English-speaking environment, having that opportunity to practice is very difficult.
Indeed, and also, of course, students have very different reasons for learning, for improving their English. And one of the big issues as a British company we have is that there are many students who want to learn American English rather than British English. But as I understand it and have already experienced some of it, I don't think that's going to be too much of a challenge quite soon.
No, I don't think, and you should know, like, you are mother tongue. I'm not. I'm learning English for which is over 40 something years, and I went to school in Britain for a year. So for my ear, British English is really nice, but it's interchangeable for us. I mean, those who are not mother tongue, for us, it's an equal, and even in written format, we don't really feel the difference. Okay, you sometimes use S or Z, the endings, but it's not a big issue. There are a few words which are changing or has a different meaning, but understanding English is fairly a challenge, because those who are like the BBC talk or the CNN talk, that one you understand. But if you go out, like to London, to the street, I'm lost. I remember first arriving to the United States, and I asked for a Coke or something in a McDonald's. They were not understanding me, and they, because I spoke differently somehow. Before, it was not an issue. So to practice this, I think will have more importance in the future.
Agreed. I mean, a related question, another one that always comes up is will practicing with AI be as effective as talking to real people?
If you have the structure of that conversation, so it's pedagogically built, like Stephanie build a course, like why we are doing something, and it's not just for fun. Like you open up your phone and talk to ChatGPT, but it's not going to be a structured conversation. It's not going to be built to an aim. Yeah, you can give prompts, you can give instructions of what to do, but 90% of the people, they don't have the energy for it, or they don't have the capability of telling what you want to practice. So I think the teacher is like a coach in this way, knows where we want to get and what is the route, and just putting the task around us so that we practice it. But the combination, for productivity reasons, you cannot neglect using AI tools if you use English, and it's just like,
Yeah,
it's a must.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, we don't need to look at these things in isolation, do we? I mean, I think, as Peter said, as a practice tool, especially for people who don't have access to people to practice with, it's undoubtedly beneficial. But I do think there's still something very different about talking to a real person, that a real person is listening and responding. I still think there's a different motivation there, isn't there?
Yeah, for our age maybe, but believe me, the new generations will feel differently. I mean, let's be honest.
A different way. And Stephanie, for you as an expert in teaching and creating the courses, what was your learning from this? From the exposure to AI
A
and all
steep
this.
learning curve in terms of information that you have to give in order for AI to be able to respond, in terms of setting up the activities. I think that was the steepest learning curve, because it might be very clear in my mind what this activity is about and what I want it to practice and what I want it to generate, but it's sort of explaining that so that can then be input so that AI is responding in a relevant way, which is something I obviously haven't had to do before, because you're creating, or historically I was creating material for the student to use, and the answers were right or wrong, or taken from a list. But in terms of, as that example we had, where AI is going to generate a response, thinking like that was very interesting and very different.
Oh, thank you for that. So do we have any questions? If we haven't got any questions, I mean, one thing that might be quite useful, Stephanie, if you wouldn't mind, is just giving a very brief overview of the course, of the English for Negotiation course, and how people can possibly get access to see the demonstration lesson if they would like to.
Yeah, so the title of the course is English for Negotiations. I've tried to, as always, keep it as authentic and rooted in real life as possible. So it's a real mix, which means that it's going to hopefully appeal to lots of different learners. We've got some real life case studies in there, which I think are very interesting. We've got lots of vocabulary, language input. Of course, we're not going to neglect grammar. We've got some grammar topics in there, but everything related to this topic of negotiation. So the idea is you watch the lesson, the input session, and then you have these practice activities where you can activate what you've studied. It's a 10-lesson course. It's aimed at an upper intermediate level. And even if you don't think you use negotiation in your everyday life, I think you might be quite surprised at how much is actually relevant and useful for you.
Indeed. And to access the course and the demo lesson, perhaps we could put up have we got the address?
I don't actually have a slide with the address on.
Don't worry.
Is it on your
I think we can put it into the comment section after the recording,
Okay.
and then you can see it. Anyway, it's difficult to write down instantly. So let's agree on that we put to the channels.
We'll add it into, where you can access.
But Stephanie, could you please tell me how would you combine this course with the traditional learning? So like if somebody is taking classes with a real teacher, how would you combine the two together?
I think the beauty of this, which is also true with a lot of courses on Perfectly Spoken, is that it's accessible whenever and wherever you want, which of course is different from attending a class which is at a fixed schedule, a fixed time. So the idea very much is you access it when it's convenient for you. You can retake it, rewatch it as many times as you like. So it's certainly something that you can do in conjunction with your regular class. As I said, it is business oriented, but there's a lot in there, a lot of really useful language and grammar as well. So I think it's something that can be studied alongside, let's say, a traditional face-to-face class. But the beauty of this is that you can access it at times and places that are convenient for you.
Thank you.
So I think that concludes our session. Peter, Stephanie, thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you everybody for joining us. Please do have a look at the comments section and visit Peter's website or our website and have a look at the demonstration lesson. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you in the future.
I can just see that we've got the link that's appeared up now.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.